San Francisco's 911 system was bombarded with calls during Tuesday's powerful storm. Our media partner, the San Francisco Standard, found the storm exposed an ongoing and worsening weakness in the city's 911 system, with one supervisor saying the city's emergency system is, quote, at the breaking point. Joining us live now to discuss his findings is SF Standard data reporter Noah Boston. Hi, Noah. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me on.
Okay, so the headline of your article is that the city's 911 system buckled as the storms wreaked havoc. What happened on Tuesday?
Yeah, so as the storm, swept across the city, there were so many impacts, and there was a 400% increase in the number of 911 calls that were coming into the dispatch center. And, we even saw the director of the Department of Emergency Management send out a tweet saying, please only call 911 in a life-threatening situation because we're seeing really long wait times to get through to dispatchers.
Do you know how long the wait times were and how that compares to normal?
I asked the department to give us that data, and they have not shared.
All right. But it's longer than they want, right? And you do have some data, don't you, about how it has been much longer than their own standards would dictate?
Yeah, that's right. So unfortunately, for months now, the department has really struggled to meet its standard for answering 911 calls. So, the city has this set goal that they want to answer 95% of calls within 15 seconds. And that hasn't happened in years, actually. In fact, in December, which is the most recent month where we have like a full month of data, about a quarter of people were left waiting more than 15 seconds before 911 answered.
Is it safe to say that it wasn't just this Tuesday's storm, although it was probably very magnified then, but throughout our winter with all our storm emergencies, we've seen this? And would you say it even goes back further to the wildfires? And of course, they didn't really come into San Francisco proper so much, but just, I guess I'm trying to gauge in past recent disasters how the city has fared.
Yeah, it's a good question, and unfortunately the way the data is presented, we only have monthly totals, so it's a little hard to speak about specific days where there were big storms. But of course we can say with confidence that when these big events happen, like storms or, if there's wildfires, of course, there is going to be a major influx of calls coming in, and that's always going to be a stress test for the 911 system.
So then let's explore the reasons why. Why didn't the system pass the stress test? Very stressful Tuesday stress test. What are the root problems?
Yeah. So I can say that historically, or I should say for the last couple months, couple years, the department has really struggled with understaffing. A lot of that goes back to the height of the pandemic and the understaffing that so many city departments here in San Francisco and really across the country have faced. There was a hiring freeze, they had people leaving, and they've been trying to staff up, but it's been really challenging for the department. And I will say that the 911 dispatch center, they gave me a call and they said, Tuesday we were fully staffed up. In fact, they had extra shifts coming in.
Yep.
But even with those extra shifts, it was such a large volume of calls that it was really a challenging moment for
does this have anything at all to do with the upgrading that's going on? I understand that, OES, regular facilities being upgraded, so they kind of moved out temporarily. Is that preventing some, smoother efficiencies from going on as well?
That's a great question, and I think it's worth looking into. I'm not sure about the answer to that.
All right. So then what is the solution? If not being fully staffed is kind of the core issue here, what's the plan, I guess, in the short term?
Yeah, so I know the department has brought on a recruiter because they really just want to get in more candidates to become dispatchers. The big challenge here that they talk about is that it takes 10 months from the moment someone applies until they can actually get hired, because it's this whole process to get someone hired into a city job like that. Mm-hmm. And then another 10 months to get them trained up so they can answer calls on their own. So we could be looking at years before the department is back to full staffing levels.
At least 2 years, right? Even if you had the people who are raising their hands and saying, I want to be trained, I want this job. So if that is the case, I wonder if this is causing a lot of stress to the existing dispatchers. Have you talked to them about it?
That's another really good question. I didn't, for this story, have an opportunity to speak to a dispatcher, but I can only imagine.
How have they, right, I mean, just being understaffed, I would think. How does this fit into the larger picture of San Francisco's emergency response system?
Yeah, I mean, we unfortunately have seen delays across all aspects of the emergency response system. We've heard reports from city emergency rooms that people are waiting hours in waiting rooms to get in to see a doctor in the emergency department. And of course, that leaves ambulances waiting at the hospitals to bring patients in. And then that backs up the ambulance response system. Once you do actually get to 911, the city's been having a really hard time getting ambulances out within their standards for ambulance response. So the whole system has been facing these really chronic backlogs.
It's a real ripple effect, and the worry is, of course, right? I mean, being in San Francisco, you always have the threat of the big one, the big earthquake, which will, right? It's a matter of time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So did they respond to your story?
So the department did not initially respond to the story. I will actually say I got a call about a minute before I came on here, so I will give them that credit, although I wish I had a longer time to talk to them.
Well, I'll let you go right now so that you can respond to that call and see what they say and keep us posted in your latest article. Thank you, Noah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.